welcome to episode 4 of the Boopcast. We are your hosts, SheNoob and... Cory. And you may notice we do not have a guest this week because our guest has gone walkabout. I have no idea where they are, but they're not here, so we're just gonna film the podcast anyway. I keep looking down here still. I cannot get used to looking up there. So, episode 4. Yeah, before we get started, a couple of things happened between last podcast and now. So, Rooster Teeth, excuse me, had Extra Life last weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, last weekend was the Extra Life streams. For those of you who don't know, Extra Life is a charity stream in which a bunch of gaming YouTubers or YouTubers in general stream and raise money for kids in hospital. So they do this every year. They do a 24-hour stream, and this year they raised nearly $1 million for Extra Life, which is incredible. And also, something was announced on that stream that's very exciting, which is Michael and Lindsay Jones, who are the voices of Ruby Rose and Sun Wukong respectively, have announced that they're expecting their first child in June of next year, which is so exciting that Ruby and Sun are having a baby. I can't believe Michael Jones is going to be a father.
I know, right?
Anyway, so congratulations to Lindsay and Michael on that. And there's one other thing that may have happened. Somebody was elected president, but we're not going to talk about that. So, episode 4. Some exciting developments in this episode. So this episode was called Family, and it was very much family oriented. Families on both ends of the spectrum. So I haven't written any notes because I've been extremely busy these last 2 days, which I mentioned in my reaction to episode 4, which will be up next week. I am in a theatre play, and we have been there all weekend putting up sets and rehearsing, and I'm fucking tired. So I've only had time to watch the episode twice, so I'm not even that familiar with it. So Cory is going to carry us for this one. Because he's got all his notes. He's ready to go. Oh my god, questions. Wait, where are my questions?
Oh.
Okay, so there will be a cut there. Apologies for that. But I have my questions now. I'm very disorganized because I'm very tired. Okay, so these questions are actually related to episode 3. We have not had any episode 4 questions yet. Not that I've checked on my Twitter anyway. I don't think I saw any this morning. But anyway, so Piskian Waterbender has asked, what has been your favourite episode score so far? Meaning an entire episode's score like they're shown on the album. I have my answer straight away, but what's yours?
Is this in volume 4 or of all time?
Of all of them.
Oh, of all time.
I have my answer.
Honestly, I think it might be in the episode in volume 2 where Pyrrha fights all of Team Cardinal.
Oh, episode 5, extracurricular.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be that. Yeah.
Well, mine is volume 3, chapter 11, Heroes and Monsters. Boom.
I was thinking that was my second answer. That was that was just such a...
purely because of such arrogance. Because it's just... and also the When It Falls Videri at the beginning as well. Wait, was that chapter or the previous chapter?
That was
the previous chapter. Anyway, such arrogance. This is my favourite score. AC Gears and Arms asks, what relevance do you think the relic has that Salem is searching so hard for? Do you think Ozpin's cane is the relic and that Crow took it for a reason? Did we talk about this last week?
We mentioned the relic. We mentioned the relic, but I don't think we had this question.
No. So I think we unanimously decided that we did think Ozpin's cane is the relic. I still am going with that. I haven't seen anything else that would make me think otherwise. Obviously, from this episode, we know that Raven is interested in knowing if Salem has it. Not necessarily interested in having it herself, but just wants to know if Salem has it or not. So it's obviously very important. What relevance do we think it has? I mean, it's probably pretty important.
It has to have a lot.
It must have a fair amount of relevance. Philip Nicholas asks, do you think Ruby could have moon-based powers as opposed to season-based powers, or even the power to control or purify Grimm? He goes on
that sounds too magic.
He goes on to say that Artemis has silver eyes, and Artemis was the Greek goddess of hunting. So, he also mentions that Ruby's scythe is called Crescent Rose. So, there has been from day one some kind of relevance to the moon, that still hasn't been talked about. So, and Monty did say that the moon is important. And obviously it's not a normal moon, it's crumbling. But it still hasn't been explained why. This seems to just be a thing that the people of Remnant know that is, but that nobody ever feels the need to talk about or explain. So, as for the power to purify Grimm, I don't think so.
Yeah, it sounds too magic.
Not from the way Crow described the power to Ruby. Obviously there's things he's not telling her, of course, but he said that a single look from a silver-eyed warrior could take down a Grimm, so I think it's more about destroying Grimm than purifying them. I don't think that Grimm could be purified. Like, I don't think that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if being purified would mean that these things have some sort of, like, other state that is good. But from everything we know of the Grimm, is they're kind of just evil beings. They're just
really apparitions of some kind of dark force. They don't have souls either, so yeah. Lucas Howell asks, maybe Haven's headmaster will be based on Dorothy and Shades would be the Cowardly Lion, because Ozpin is the wizard and Ironwood is the Tin Man. Which I never drew that sort of, what's the word?
Comparison.
Thank
Parallel.
you. Parallel, yes, before. But there's also the question of the Scarecrow. So one of them could also be the Scarecrow as opposed to Dorothy.
You saying that just made me wonder, is Oscar the Scarecrow?
We've got to talk about Oscar, because that beginning part of this episode was weird and I don't know what happened. Somebody also left in the comments, I don't remember who it was, sorry, but they also said that they thought Tai Yang was the Cowardly Lion, which I thought was bizarre, because he in no way, shape or form represents the Cowardly Lion.
Yeah.
Not cowardly in the slightest. And Nathan Hayes asks, do you think Yang will ever use her new arm or kick ass with one arm, and when do you think Yang will get over her PTSD? And how will Blake's parents react to Sun? Okay, just addressing the first half of that question. So, we saw at the end of this episode that Yang did put the arm on. Which surprises me, that they've done that so soon. There were a few things about Yang in this episode that surprised me. I am still not convinced that she's not going to go out there and kick ass with one arm. She could change her mind. She could decide that she doesn't want it. But, we'll see how that develops. As for her PTSD, speaking from experience, people never really get over PTSD. It is a long-term effect that can last for a lifetime. When something happens to you like what happened to Yang, it's not something you just get over. No amount of time is going to heal that for her. She will get to the point where she can function normally, but it's always going to be a part of herself now. And that's, speaking from experience. How will Blake's parents react to Sun? Well, we got a glimpse of that in the intro, because Blake's dear old dad just sort of shoves him aside. So I have a feeling Blake's father is going to be the sort of protective type of his now grown-up daughter. Her mother looks lovely, so I'm sure she will... She seems kind. So, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. Like, the girl, her parents, and the boyfriend just kind of... boyfriend, you know. Yeah, we'll see how that develops, hopefully soon. That was all the questions we had. Remember that if you want to submit questions, you can follow Cory and I on Twitter at SheNoob087, at Cory11333. And those links will be in the description for mobile users. So, this episode... I feel like I say that every week, but this episode in particular...
Yeah.
So, the mystery boy came back, and he has a name, and it is Oscar. And it starts with O, and everybody's freaking out about their theories and shit. We still don't know enough to draw any conclusions, because what happened at the start of this episode was completely confusing, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So, I'm just gonna reiterate this. Oscar looked into a mirror, and it was like he wasn't looking at himself. It was like he was looking at someone else, and he said hello to the mirror. And then suddenly, Shannon's voice, "Hello, my name's Professor Ozpin." I'm like, what the fuck is... I don't understand what happened there. I really don't. I need somebody to explain this to me, because I don't get it. I watched that so many times that me and Daniel were like, I don't get it. What is happening? Like, is he Ozpin? Is he talking to Ozpin through the mirror? Like, what the fuck? I don't understand. People are going crazy with their theories. They're like, oh, I told you, the boy is Ozpin, but we still don't know enough to draw any of those conclusions. Ozpin could very well be communicating to the boy through that mirror somehow. The whole thing was weird and confusing. I don't understand. Somebody explain it to me. But we still know nothing in regards to that. We all knew that Ozpin was out there somewhere. This is not at all where we expected him to show up. So...
Yeah, well, it kind of was.
Really? I mean, we all knew that the boy had some kind of relevance either to the Spring Maiden or to Ozpin. Or both.
I always thought connection was to Ozpin.
Yeah, I didn't go with the Spring Maiden theory. It didn't... I thought perhaps he could be a descendant of the Spring Maiden, but even that was like, But, yeah, I'm so confused. I really don't know enough about this boy yet. All I know is that I'm confused. I have no idea what happened. And we're just gonna have to wait and see to find out exactly what that was all about. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So moving on beyond that weirdo scene, what was next? I don't even remember.
Well, I did want to point out, if you read the list of voice actors at the end, it lists the woman in Oscar's scene, the woman's voice, as Oscar's aunt. So he clearly doesn't have parents in the picture.
So he lives with his aunt and maybe uncle. Yeah. Yeah. So... And also, something exciting is that the bloke who is voicing the boy, whose name I've completely forgotten, I'm sorry because it's a weird name, Alan Dismuke or something like that. He was
Aaron
Dismuke, thank you. He was the voice actor for Hani Nozuka in Ouran High School Host Club English dub, which is very exciting for me because I love Ouran High School Host Club. And I love Hani Nozuka. So that's really cool. They've got a couple of great professional anime voice actors in this volume, which is really cool. A lot of Ouran and a lot of Full Metal Alchemist. This guy was also in Full Metal Alchemist. And Tokyo Ghoul as well. So, I mean, that happens. A lot of anime English dub voice actors tend to double up or triple up or quadruple up on different English dubs because they just, So anyway, what was next? The Yang bit was next. That's what was next.
Her PTSD dream.
Yeah. Which, I was expecting to see that at some stage. It wasn't quite as disturbing as I was expecting. I was expecting something a little more.
I know. I wanted something that, like, not only obviously made Yang feel, like, scared and sick, but I kind of wanted something that made me feel that way.
Yeah, I kind of wanted a little bit more out of that. I wanted it to be really confronting, but I wasn't confronted. It was just basically, yeah, she's having a PTS dream, whatever. But it really wasn't as scary as I was hoping for it to be. Like, I feel like the scene where Yang got her arm cut off was more disturbing than that dream, and it should be the other way around, really, because dreams are fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who dreams a lot. It's a chronic problem, and I've had disturbing dreams before, so I know exactly how disturbing dreams can get, and that wasn't there, unfortunately. But you know, so she woke up, and Oobleck and Peter Port were in the house, chatting with Taiyang like old friends. Firstly, I was like, what are they doing there? Secondly, I completely forgot that Taiyang went to Beacon at one stage. But I don't think Oobleck is old enough to have been a teacher at Beacon when Taiyang went to school there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's always been kind of implied that Port and Oobleck are around the same age, like that they all went to school around the same time.
I guess so.
And Port mentions that at the time he was a TA.
Yeah, teacher's assistant
So,
is what that means, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah. We call them student teachers here, but same thing.
And we do sometimes as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, Port, obviously, he was an assistant teacher at the time, but Oobleck just doesn't seem like he's the same age as Port to me. Port definitely seems older, but the story they were telling is that they convinced Crow to wear a skirt and told him it was a kilt, which is funny, but
And also, at the end of the episode, it makes sense when you realize, oh, he grew up in a tribe of, like, people.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't grow up in Vale or something.
In a very specific tribe of people that we will get to talking about. So that was funny. Taiyang made a joke that I thought was a little harsh and wasn't going to go over quite as well as it did.
Oh.
I was very surprised that Yang actually laughed at that. Like,
I was too. I was like, fucking kill him.
I know, like, I seriously thought she was going to get pissed off and storm out of the room. But she just laughed. You know, going from the previous episode to this one was weird for Yang, because the previous episode, she was completely in a low state of mind, and now this one she's laughing at missing arm jokes. Like, I'm like, where was the jump? Like, it's been one episode. That's too big of a jump for me. It just felt weird that she would be laughing at that. Like, it's only been a few months. I mean, good on her for having a sense of humor, but
still, even if you have that type of relationship with a person, like, still, they're joking about a trauma you're still getting over. Like, it's... I can't imagine ever being okay with something like that.
Oh my god, if my dad said that to me, I would literally punch him in the face.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
my other arm. Like, I still got one, bitch! But, I was literally sitting in my seat like, ooh. Like, I was just waiting for her to flip out, and she didn't. Good on her for, you know, having a sense of humor, but that was just weird. That made me feel very uncomfortable. And also the looks on Oobleck and Port's faces was just like exactly what I was feeling. I was like, did he just say that? But you know, she took it well. Good on her. She seemed a lot happier in this scene, definitely. I guess...
Which is weird, especially because she just woke up from that dream.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like anything else. You have good days, you have bad days. And I guess it was a good day for Yang. And she, she talks about how everyone keeps saying, we're looking forward to getting back to normal and getting back out there, but she's like, well, this is normal now. This is my normal. And she's gotten used to that new normal. So now to change again is frightening, which is, I guess she's afraid of getting back out there because she, she's gone through this trauma, and I sympathise on a level. I mean, obviously I've never had my arm cut off by a psychopath, but I do sympathise on a level. She's understandably scared of things going back to the way they were, and I guess she thinks, how can they go back to the way they were after what's happened? And, she says to her father, I think I've been through enough to be considered an adult. And it's like, yes, you definitely have. But at the same time, your father does know best. And he knows what the world is really like. He's been out there as a huntsman fighting that fight. So if he says you're not ready...
both loves of his life.
Yeah, and now his youngest daughter has gone missing, and his oldest daughter has gone through this horrible thing, and he knows how cruel the world can be. And yeah, so I sympathise with them both on different levels. But yeah, this whole scene was very comforting, I think. Just the banter between old friends and the knowledge that Yang is getting there slowly, and that she has accepted what's happened to her. That she has accepted that her arm is gone; it's not coming back. This is her life now. So, and listening to Port and Oobleck talk about fear and that sort of thing is. Yeah, the whole scene was a nice change, especially for Yang's storyline. And at the end, when Port was asking about Ruby, I guess Tai Yang feels trapped. He really wants to go and find his daughter and bring her home, but at the same time, he has a responsibility to Yang right now. She's going through some stuff, and he's got to help her through that. And then I guess he figures that once he does, they can go out together and get Ruby back. But
plus, he has to know Crow is keeping an eye on Ruby. He has to know that.
I don't think he knows. I think he probably suspects, but he probably doesn't know for sure. I mean, one thing he knows is that his daughter can handle herself, and that he hasn't heard from her yet isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, yeah, I mean, his hands are tied. Like he said, he's got to take care of some things. He's got to take care of Yang. He can't just go and abandon Yang, because what would she do then? And it's, I feel for him. His hands are really tied. He has to choose between his love for each of his daughters, but it's like, that's not something you can choose between. So, yeah, he knows that he has a responsibility to stay home and to help Yang until she's strong enough to get back on her feet. So, yeah, I really feel for Tai Yang. I feel like he's in way over his head with this whole thing when it comes to his daughters. He would never have expected any of this stuff to happen, and now he doesn't really know what to do. So, yeah, I feel for the poor guy. He's just trying to do the best he can as a father.
I just thought of this, but back in when they were talking in the kitchen, and the thing that kind of started this whole fight between Tai Yang and Yang was that Port brought up Raven, and Tai Yang got very uncomfortable about that.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of a sly remark about, his Tai Yang's relationship with Raven in high school. Yeah, at the academy, not high school, the academy.
Nice.
The academy's like college, right? And the combat schools are like high school. But yeah, and he's like, she's right here, like she's also 18.
It's like why? Yeah.
She
knows what you did.
She knows that, I mean, she exists, doesn't she? So, she knows that things... Alright, yeah, you don't have to provide a visual aid. There are youngins watching. I hope not. Yeah, that kind of stuff, because I guess Yang is tired, after everything she's been through. She's tired of being treated like a child, which is fair enough. She is legally an adult. She's 18. She's been through some horrible shit. Her friends have been killed. She's lost a part of herself. Her other friends are gone. Her sister's disappeared. She's had enough of being treated like a child. Like, fucking treat me like a person. Which, we can all relate to. Yeah, so what was after this scene then?
It cut to Ruby Ranger walking.
Yeah, Ranger, that's right. They managed to squeeze a tiny bit of Ranger in this fucking episode. I think we're all getting...
Ranger was just there to introduce Crow.
Yes. We're all getting a little bit rangered out at this stage, I think. There was a lot of Ranger in the first 2 episodes, so... yeah, so a little bit of Ranger talking about the next village, blah, and then Crow finally reveals himself. I like that they're like, John's like, I expected to see more Grimm, and Crow's like, that's because I'm fucking killing them all, you bastards. So, I don't know why he feels it's necessary to do that. I get that he wants to protect his niece, but at the same time, they're capable, killing a few Beowulfs here and there. They took on that bloody Geist, didn't they? So, I don't know why he feels like it's... Maybe he's just bored. Maybe he just wants something to do. So they end up in the inn, and we have finally seen Raven again. Finally, after more than an entire volume later. So we first met Raven in Volume 2, Chapter 11. Was when she was first revealed to us, and then we saw her briefly after the credits of the finale of Volume 2 and have not seen her since. So it's been a very long time, and her character model has gotten an upgrade since then. She looks different. The 2 little bits of hair in the middle of her forehead annoy the crap out of me. I just want to get scissors in it. Like, before she had something similar to what Yang's got, but now they've made it look a bit more... That's because
she was just Yang's character model with black hair.
Exactly, she was, because they, fair enough, they didn't want to make a whole new hair model for her when she was very briefly in it with her helmet off. So they made her look a bit more messy, wilder, I guess, more like the bird she's named after. Something weird was going on with her hair. She's got a little red scarf on her head now, and she's still got that Nevermore like thing, whatever it is, but her normal hair is under that. So, God, that must be heavy. You would think it would be heavy. It looks heavy. But, yeah, so very interesting scene between Crow and Raven. It has not been previously established in the show, but actually they are twins because they attended school in the same year at the same time. So either something similar happened to Ruby and Yang's situation, which I doubt, or they are twins. So probably the latter is more likely. Which explains as well why they are so very different, because twins, non-identical twins can be, or even identical twins can be extremely different in their personalities. So, obviously Raven mentions that they were raised by this tribe, and Crow mentions SheNoob village. So the tribe that Raven is now a leader of is the same tribe that killed everyone in SheNoob, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah. The thing that makes me wonder is, like, how big is this tribe? Because, like, Raven seemed to like, I don't know, she almost, the way she talked about her village, she almost felt like it was her kingdom. Like, her tribe was her kingdom, like, on par with Vale.
I don't know that they'd be that large, but they're certainly a formidable force, I feel like. I don't like Raven at all. She's a bitch, don't like her. Also, the first thing Crow says is like, did you know Yang lost her arm? And she has nothing to say about that. It's like, that is your daughter. And you don't give two shits about the fact that she's lost a limb and she's struggling and suffering day by day. And you don't care. She's like, I saved her. And Crow's like, one time, she's your fucking daughter. Like, Mom of the Year!
Yang fucking died to save Yang. Like,
yeah. Tai Yang would have, you know,
like,
Tai Yang would have taken that fucking sword for Yang, you know. God, I hate Raven. I hate her. She's... I don't like her at all. I'm like, how can her and Yang be from the same gene pool? Like, Yang gives a shit so much. She gives too much of a shit. And Raven doesn't give any. So, oh yeah, I don't like her character at all. She's so shady. And I just don't know how to feel about this whole situation.
Yeah, I know. Raven is not very different, but she's different from what I was expecting.
She is.
Because, like, obviously last year they talked about Raven has a weird outlook on the world and stuff like that. But, like, I was still expecting her to be, like, kind of a neutral third party. Like, you know, I see the terribleness of, like, bureaucracy, but also she's trying to destroy the world. But no, she's just kind of like, I'm doing my thing, and, you know, kill people, and ah-ha-ha.
I honestly expected her to be less of a bitch than she is. Also, because of the scene that was after the credits in Volume 2, she seemed not like she is. She was just like, Yang, we have a lot to talk about. We still don't understand. We don't know if that was real, if it was a dream, if she actually spoke to Yang or not. I'm getting the feeling just from this scene that, no, she hasn't interacted with Yang since that one time on the train. But then Yang in Volume 3, about that scene, said you talked to her, that was real. So, I don't know, it's all very confusing. Raven is definitely not at all what I was expecting her to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed is she talks a lot about rules. She has a lot of rules. Like, I have a rule that I would save my daughter once. You know, the weak die, the strong live. That is my rule. And it's like, why are you, like, for somebody who's in a tribe of bandits, you certainly have, like, a lot of structure.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like a mercenary having a code, you know? It just doesn't fit. I don't know how to feel about Raven. I honestly don't. Like, yeah, I just don't know how to feel. I feel like I did at the end of my reaction. I'm just like, I don't know how to feel about that entire thing. I really don't. Like, there's, you know, and she rambles on and on about family, and as Crow points out, like, you talk big about family, but really you don't give a shit. Like, to her, that this tribe that she's a member of is her family, when she actually has a real family. You know? And her opinions and her views are skewed. Definitely.
But another thing, she warned them about the fall of Beacon. She said Beacon will fall. And I'm like, I'm kind of like, how much does she, like, how did she know? Did she just think that, like, you guys, there's no way you can possibly be prepared for this? Or, like, I don't know. Like, I want to know how much she knows.
Yeah, how in the know exactly is she? Yeah, she knows of the relic, and she knows of the maidens. And for somebody outside of Crow and Ozpin and Ironwood's little circle, how does she know about
That's a lot.
That? That's my question. Like, how does she know all of that? Did Crow tell her? Why would he tell her? What reason would he have? They don't seem to get along, so lots of questions. As usual, this episode has raised a lot of questions.
Yeah. I know. I said this to Sydney, but I was like, I'm kind of a little upset that they went on a week break after last episode and not this one, because last episode didn't give us a lot to talk about, but this one there's so much to talk about.
Yeah. That was just a timing thing, really. Unfortunate, but that's the way it had to be. Yeah, so what was next after that? Oh, I want to talk about the waitress, because she was adorable.
Yeah.
And she's voiced by a relatively famous anime voice actress as well, whose name I have forgotten. I apologize.
I have too.
Yeah, and she was really cute. Like, the little smile that Crow gave her when she was like, I went ahead and
Kim
gave you a
Newman.
tap.
That's her name, Kim Newman.
Yes, thank you. The little smile that Crow gave her as she walks away, it was like, I'm totally in. And we can all imagine what happened when the scene cut. So, what was next?
She was a little
this
traumatized by Raven leaving.
A little bit. I mean, that's probably something she's never seen before, but she'll get over it. It's just a woman teleporting through a portal, you know. Whatever.
In the wall.
This is Remnant. Weird things happen all the time. It's just that people, you know, who live outside of the world of huntsmen and huntresses probably don't see it that often or at all. The Grimm are weird enough in and of itself, and, you know, probably just about everybody has seen that to some extent, so... It was like on the ship in the previous episode, Sun was like, I don't think there's people who've ever seen a fight before. And to me, that was like, how can you live in Remnant and have never seen a fight? But that's because we're so used to the world that the huntsmen and huntresses live in, and this is the first time we're going out and seeing the rest of the world. So there are people that have never seen the Grimm before, which is a weird concept to us. So, as much as it would be a weird concept to the huntsmen and huntresses, like Sun says, like, they've never seen a fight. What the fuck? So, yeah. What was was it the last scene after this one? With Yang?
Yeah, that was right after, was Yang's coming out of the house.
So Yang has put the arm on. I have a feeling we're not seeing Yang next week now.
Oh, definitely.
because they left it there.
Now.
Yeah, we won't see her for a bit now. We're definitely going to go back to Ranger and Weiss and Blake now. We got lots of Yang in this episode, which I'm so grateful for, because my one complaint about last week was not enough Yang. So, plenty of Yang here, which was good. Lots of Yang. Crow, finally. Tiny bit of Ranger. Raven, even, which I was totally not expecting. Yes, please. More Weiss. Weiss is my favorite. I don't get enough Weiss this volume.
Yeah, we haven't seen
I need more Weiss.
We've seen lots of everybody.
I need more Blake and Sun too, just because it makes me happy. I could do without Ranger for a good another episode. Or two. But, yeah, Yang has put on the arm, and I'm surprised that they're moving this along as quickly as they are. I get that they have a lot to fit into this volume and really not much time. The episodes are longer, like this one was 16 minutes again, which, you know, for Ruby, is long. I see why they have to move it along this quickly. I would like that they had slowed it down a little bit, if they had the time to, but unfortunately they don't. So much to cram in, not enough screen time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Yang get back on her feet and Tai Yang sort of teaching her. I mean, if she keeps the new arm, there's really not much else for her to learn, because she already knows how to fight with both her arms, so...
Well, the thing I found most weird about it is she was able to just, like, I know how to use this hand now, woo.
I mean,
like,
yeah.
Prosthetics take adjustment.
We don't know how the Atlas technology works, is the thing. Because it's not like it has to be grafted into her nerves. It just slips on and attaches itself. So... It's obviously nerve-based, so she doesn't even have to think about it. She can just control it. So it's just like, you know, it's like your other arm. You just instinctively know how to move your fingers. You don't have to think about it. And I guess that's how it works, is, you know, nerves and brainwaves. So, but it's obviously very advanced. Not something that we'll ever see on planet Earth for some decades to come. Yeah, we already knew that this world was technologically advanced. So, but the fact that it just slips on and like there's no grafting required or anything blows my mind. So, yeah, I like that it does make noise too. It like all the fingers were making noise. I was like, yeah, I like that sound effects.
The thing I kept wondering about this episode is last episode, she just had like her little stub, like in this time we see the little like thing that's on there, the little
gold thing that's like, in her concept image, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I wonder, is that like somehow tied to the prosthetic where it, like, you know, it clicks on and twisted in or something, or
maybe,
like...
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Very interesting things to come for Yang. I'm a little bit disappointed that they've done the arm thing so soon. I really would like her to see her go out there and kick ass with one arm, because we all know that she could, if she put her mind to it. I'm still going to hold out hope that she will ditch the arm and be like, nah, I don't need that. But I think the chances of that happening are kind of slim. Yeah, so... Anything else that we did go over that's in your notes there, Corey?
Well, Crow, when in talking to Raven, says you have someone very powerful on your side, and I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, and he mentions the Spring Maiden. Yeah.
So those are my two theories. I'm like, is it Tyrion, or is it the Spring Maiden on Raven's tribe?
I don't think it's Tyrion. Raven doesn't seem to have any affiliation with Salem whatsoever. So,
you don't think Tyrion would just be able to infiltrate her group if he was like, yeah, I love killing people, let's do it?
I don't know. I feel like Raven seems like the suspicious type. She probably wouldn't just let anyone join the tribe, you know, just like that. It's like, alright, you're in, come kill people with us.
Well, who's to say that then Salem didn't recruit Tyrion out of the tribe to begin with? He was in the tribe.
Exactly, yeah. Crow does mention the Spring Maiden. Of course, I couldn't imagine why on earth a maiden would serve a tribe like that. But, you know.
Yeah, and like, especially if there was a maiden doing evil like that, like... Why didn't, you know, the Brotherhood, the Crow's a part of, why didn't they, like, step in and take her down?
Exactly. Although Crow does mention that he doesn't know where the Spring Maiden is. He's just speculating. So, I mean, he's very familiar with the maidens and what they're capable of. So he would be able to recognize the damage that they can do. So... He's obviously suspicious that Raven is in league with the Spring Maiden somehow. And it is his job to protect the maidens. Also, coming back to episode 2, I think it was, when they went to Shion Village. And Nora and Ren saw a symbol in the dirt that they recognized. Whether it's a footprint... Whether it was put there deliberately by the tribe itself, they have some kind of correlation with that tribe. They knew that symbol. They'd seen it before. And they're from a village. They are both orphans. They don't have any parents. We don't know what happened to their parents. It's very likely that their parents' village could have been wiped out by this very same tribe. So... yeah, and if Raven is the leader of that tribe, we could be seeing a Raven Ranger clash at some stage. Of course, then Crow would probably step in at that stage. I don't think he'd allow Team Ranger to go up against Raven. She's, you know, she's scary. We've seen a little bit of what she can do. Neo was scared of her. So,
yeah.
Speaking of Neo, still no Neo. Still don't know where she is.
I don't think I don't think we're seeing her for a while.
No. She is definitely gone with the wind. No idea where Neo is, what she's doing, or what she's going to do, or where she's going to pop up.
Yeah, I don't even know if she'll ever pop up again. Grant, they'll probably find some way to work her back in.
Oh, they're not going to do away with Neo. You know, everybody loves Neo. They're all like, when's Neo coming back? So, yeah, we're going to see her again. But it can't just be arbitrary. You know, it's got to make sense. So, yeah. Don't know.
Let's see, do I have anything else? There was something I remember thinking we need to talk about. Oh, I liked when Tai Yang called Yang his sunny little dragon.
Yeah. I think that Yang Xiaolong actually means sun dragon, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
In Chinese. So, yeah. Sunny little dragon. Yeah, that's cute.
And then the one last thing I had is when Ruby and when Ranger are checking into the inn and Crow's like watching them through the window, you can see like the guy asks Ruby how many, and Ruby like counts all of them.
She has to look around to see how many of them there are. It's like, you've been traveling with these guys for months. You should know there's 4 of you. Or maybe she was checking that they were all there. I don't know. Like, are we missing anybody? Nope. Is John outside taking a piss? And also, another interesting thing. Rain. We have never seen rain in Ruby before. This was the first time it's ever rained.
I didn't even think of that.
No, I didn't think about it until I watched it for the second time. I was like, I said to Daniel, has it rained in Ruby before? And he was like, I don't think so. But it hasn't. It has snowed. And it has been windy, but it has never rained. Which is interesting. So, first time we saw rain in
the new engine.
New engine! Yay! I mean, at least I think it's the first time. Correct me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's the first time we've ever seen rain.
Well, there was the part in episode 2 of volume 3 where Nora absorbs the lightning. I don't remember if there was rain there.
Yeah, but that's artificial. It doesn't count. I don't think there was rain. I think it was just a thundercloud. I can't remember. I'd have to watch it again. First time we've seen natural rain. Let's put it that way. Like, as in actual weather. Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I think we've pretty much covered everything, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't know how to feel about anything in this episode. The Oscar thing was confusing, the Yang bit was uncomfortable because she was, like, so okay with that joke. The Raven thing, I don't know how to feel about Raven. God, I hate her, but it's like, I don't want to hate her, but I do.
I know, it's a thing where it's like, I want her to be good, and I think she'll do good eventually, but at the same time, I'm just like, but I can't stand her right now.
I wanted her to be neutral, and she's not neutral, and I hate her, and I don't want to hate her. Because she's Yang's mom, I don't want to hate her. But I do. Crow looks really good. His new model looks awesome. I mean, he looks pretty much the same, but everybody texturally looks better now. Except for Emerald and Mercury.
Except for Em and Merc.
Who else was in there that I thought looked a bit weird? Oh, there was somebody, I reckon I mentioned it in one of my reactions, but somebody looked really weird. It wasn't Sun. Sun looks great. I don't remember. Some passing character I thought looked a bit strange in the new model, but also distinct lack of Zwei in this episode.
I said that in my reaction video. I was like, where's Zwei? Like, even in last week, Zwei was just chilling. And it was like, why can't Zwei just be chilling somewhere in this one?
Why
can't he be curled up at the end of Yang's bed?
Why was such a huge part of Volume 2, and then he kind of dropped off after that because they didn't have any more room for him. Which I'm feeling like is probably the reason he's not in Volume 4 so far either, is because they don't have the room. I hope that he'll pop up while Yang's, learning to use her new arm. And the other thing I was going to mention before is that she lost half of Ember Celica. She's going to have to make a new weapon. So she's not going to be able to go anywhere until she's got a new weapon.
Yeah, because I doubt they just were like, oh, let's just pick up her arm and take this with us.
Yeah, no. Ugh. And at the end of Volume 3, we saw only the one gauntlet was sitting on her bedside. So she's definitely lost the other one. It's gone. So it's probably buried.
Like they would have mentioned.
Yeah.
I think they would have mentioned if her prosthetic was able to shoot or something like Mercury's are.
It's just an arm. Yeah, her other gauntlet is probably buried under the rubbles of Beacon Academy by now. I mean, the mess hall burned down, so good luck finding it in there. Yeah, so she's definitely going to have to either make an entirely new weapon or replace the gauntlet that she lost.
Maybe Tai Yang will pass his down, since it's implied that he fights the same way she does.
Is it?
Well, Yang said that Tai Yang did a good job teaching Yang in Episode 1, Volume 3.
Did Ruby say that, or did Yang say that?
Ruby did.
Oh, Ruby did. Okay.
When she's talking to Summer Rose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. If anything, that would be a way to prolong Yang's story now that they've had her put on the arm.
Yeah, basically. They've got to go somewhere with her from here. I don't expect to see her going out and about before Episode 7. Just because I feel like
before Episode 10.
Yeah. Well, I feel after Episode 6 will be the winter break, so the Christmas break. Yeah, I feel like that's something they're building up to something at the end of Episode 6, and it's either going to be Yang's new gear and getting ready to leave, or it's going to be the concert. It's going to be one of those two things, or it could be both in the same episode. We don't even know. Something terrible is going to happen in that concert. We know that much. We've seen nothing of Weiss in combat so far, which is annoying.
But she's also, trapped in her mansion.
Yeah. But my favorite thing about Weiss is her fighting style. So, yeah, I'd like to see a little more of her playing around with her glyphs and that sort of thing. Now that she knows she can summon, you'd think she would be practicing that. But she hasn't been.
Well, who's to say she isn't, though? Because we haven't seen everything about her day, but...
No. Well, apparently she's been locked in her room for 3 months.
That's why I want to see more of Weiss, because it's like, we just saw her talk to her dad and that's it.
Yeah.
I need an episode focused on Weiss the way that, Episode 1 was on Ranger, and Episode 3 was on Blake, and Episode 4 was on Yang.
Episode 2 was between Ranger and Weiss, sort of, so we haven't really had we need to see more of Weiss. She's definitely gone in the background now in these last 2 episodes, but that's going to happen. There's a lot of storylines to get through. So there's going to be a lot of, we don't see certain people for a couple of episodes in a row. Except for Ranger, apparently.
I know.
They managed to make it into 3 out of 4. Yeah. So, I guess we should wrap this up then. We're just trying to find more things to talk about, but it's just the 2 of us today. So, yeah. Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to follow Cory and I on Twitter and subscribe to Cory's channel and this one so that you don't miss future podcasts. And also don't forget to ask. You can still ask questions about episode 4 on our Twitters now. We we save the questions for later, so don't worry, it won't get lost. And next week we'll be back talking about episode 5. Please make sure, once you've seen episode 5, to tweet us your questions, or you can leave them in the comments below. That's fine as well if you don't have a Twitter. Facebook as well. You can ask us questions there. We have Facebooks. All the links are in the description. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back next week with a guest. I
know, right?
If the guest pops up at some stage. Yeah, we're going to have several more guests throughout the volume, a couple of exciting ones as well, so that'll be fun. Yeah. See you next week. How ugly can I make my face? Roll the credits, go!